Good morning and welcome. Yeah, happy Friday. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and it's Friday. It's been a long week, and we had to work all 5 days this week. Put a couple fingers of Jack in the coffee. Why not? Make it a Jack Daniels Friday. We haven't done one of those in a long time. I hope it finds you well out there. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. I'm just going to say this. Get it? Well, you can. That's all I'm going to tell you. Get it? Well, you can. That's not a scare tactic. It's not a threat. It's reality. And any of you out there, if you've been anywhere at all, wow, are the shelves empty. It is incredible. Going to like the parts store. I was actually in an auto center the other day. Half of the batteries gone, just gone. Tires. I could not believe how many times I heard the clerk tell people, "Oh, that tire's out of stock. That tire's out of stock. Oh, sorry, this tire's out. Everything is out of stock." And it is going to continue. Just throw spot prices out the window. These guys, they want to, they trade and pretend. We have a bubble. We have a bubble. I know we have a bubble. And the bubble will continue until it stops. And as we've told you, it will stop when taper starts or when taper's not coming at all. Either one of those two. When that happens, then it's off to the races. Get it done beforehand. Because here's the bad part. When it happens, you're not going to be able to get it. Because right now, it is hard. I mean, hard to get. I just was online looking at the major online gold and silver dealers. You know who they are. Out of stocks everywhere. We've been around forever. We've been around 25 years. We got offices in multiple states. You'll notice today at allamericangold.com, if on our shopping cart button, the rounds, we sold rounds yesterday. They're no longer available. You won't see them on our website. I won't sell you any. We are sold out. Silver. It's funny. Silver's like $22.50. And I don't mean to laugh about it, but it's, again, traded in make-believe, right? Why is silver down? Well, because the paper traders say, well, the Fed's going to announce taper, which is, in their way, in their mind, oh, well, that's tightening, right? That should mean a stronger dollar. It really doesn't mean that. It's really not tightening. But, okay, you want to play make-believe, and they trade accordingly. It won't last, and we don't have very much longer for it before it ends. 800-951-0592. I'm joined, as always, with my partner and the man that runs the whole Colorado mothership from radio station to gold company, Jason Walker. Jason, it's Friday. Good morning, brother.
It is Friday. It's I'm looking forward to Friday more and more each week. Yeah, I usually, whatever job I've worked when I was a process server or when I actually delivered pizza, I bought my house delivering pizza, which people are shocked by that, and I think at this point I am now, but I've always kind of enjoyed. I don't like working jobs or doing things that I don't enjoy. I don't know. I can't understand why people stay in a job that they don't like just for the money, but man, I do like what I do here. And I was listening to you about the shortages, Joe. Brian and I have it. We call it the good old days. These little spots where gold and silver just kind of sit there inexplicably. Well, because these markets aren't super huge, and they can be controlled. And you better believe the big bankers, the big corporations, the big countries of the world, they buy it when it's sitting here like this. If the price of the entire world's going up and gold and silver's not, you better believe the biggest of the big are buying it, Joe. And this is why you're buying the dips.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yep.
It's exactly what's happening. Everything's disappearing. It's crazy. I'm watching when we were calling around, and we have the largest wholesalers in the world at our disposal. The bullion banks at our disposal. I don't even know how many secondary dealers at our disposal.
Asking us if we have something to sell them.
Yeah, they're emailing. Right, they're emailing me. Right, asking. So if Jason gets the email. He called me up yesterday. He goes, "Does this happen all the time?" And I'm like, So anyway, we got a great show lined up for you today. Got so many things to talk about, but I got to talk about this one in Texas because we're so focused everywhere else. The Biden administration has told the FAA to ground any drones filming the Texas Bridge border crisis. Right? So how do you keep it out of the news? Don't let it get into... Right? This is like communist China and communist Russia type things. There's over 10,000 illegal immigrants sitting in this bridge in South Texas. And it's almost like if the ocean was there, you would have thought it was spring break. Right, because they're everywhere, and they got pop-up tents. I mean, you get some barbecue grills, and they're just waiting. No, we want Border Patrol. Hey, whenever you're ready, we're right here. We're ready. We surrender. Yeah. I wonder how many of them got their COVID shots. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. Hey, why not? They know, right? The illegals know. Hey, wait a minute. We're going to get a check, right? We'll probably qualify for unemployment benefits. It'll be great. You remember the good old days, Jason, when, at least they would they'd have to try to run, right?
Yes.
And evade the Border Patrol. And no. They're waiting. Hey, we're right here. And it's incredible. I mean, I just look. Trash is everywhere, and they keep coming. There was actually a picture before and I think this is why they wanted to ban the drone flights of the Rio Grande, and you can just see all the people.
Yeah, Joe, get the camera out of Tiananmen Square, sort of thing, right?
Yeah, just the lines of them pouring in through the border. But this is again slowly but surely. Right, it's fascism at its best here. You're seeing, and again, this is what happens when you have weak leadership. Because let's face it. Let's be honest. Okay, we've got extreme elements on both sides, and again, I think it's really one side, but we'll call it both sides. We got extreme elements on the left. We've got extreme elements on the right, and you need these strong leaders to resist it. And the problem that we've had over the last, say, 20 years is more people have moved to the extremes, right? So now the left, they're not Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is a whack job. He's always been a whack job. He was kind of one of those, the guy that, that's that dude from Vermont. He's crazy, right? But okay. And he's got his little district there that keeps voting him in with all the other crazies. But he's just, he's an outcast. They're not anymore. And you need a strong leader to resist the whack jobs out there, and we don't have it. Matter of fact, we're starting to see this. When we knew this was coming, Joe Biden's starting to lean into this thing, Jason, and I'm just watching here, and nobody's talked about it because we've had the whole COVID thing, and then the Afghanistan thing. It is actually numbers like 200,000 of them in a month coming across. I mean, this is how big this thing is, and they've done a great job. Shh, nobody say anything because that gets the right fired up, right, Jason?
That's right. Yeah, I mean it's allowed to happen. It's cheap labor pouring over the border, and this has been going on a long time. It's just the same old song with a different tune.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right about that, and it's just kind of funny now how the rules of engagement have changed. The reason why so many of them are coming, well, it's simple now. You're not running away. Before, you hoped you didn't get raped, murdered, or killed by the coyotes that were bringing you across, and then once you got there, it was kind of like hide and go seek or ghost in the graveyard when you were a little kid. Kick the can, right? You got to run.
That's right.
Okay. This group, you guys run left, you go right, and you guys go up the middle. They're going to catch one of you. Right, but the other two are going to be okay. Now they don't even have to run.
It's like the same principles as trench warfare. You get enough guys running, you can maybe beat those machine guns.
I don't know. It kind of cheapens it a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This kind, at least before, if they got it, like, hey man, how fast did you run? I mean, right?
The whole thing is,
or did they get the other guy?
It's all silly, Joe. The border can be secured very easily. I think everyone knows it.
So easily. Listen, we can secure the border in a day. All right, 5 days. 5 days, that thing would be completely secure. We don't want to. Here's another one. I got to bring it up because we talked about the idiotic energy policies. Okay, so we got idiotic border policy.
Yes.
We've got idiotic military policy.
Yep.
Now we've got idiotic energy policy. So the CEO of Chevron, he came out on Bloomberg, and he's upset because he's like, gas prices don't have to be this high. They don't have to be this high. By the way, natural gas prices are through the roof. Europe's got a crisis brewing like you wouldn't believe. Energy prices, wait till you see what happens when the cold weather hits. We were worried about $100 oil in the summer. We may have it in the winter. But he comes out on Bloomberg, and he says, listen, these elevated prices, and he was trying to be very politically correct. He said, yes, there's tightening supply. Of course, we know Ida took out the refineries, and storage levels are the lowest in 2 years and getting lower, but that was just recently. But he said, oil and gas companies are holding back on new drilling projects. And he goes, the math makes it feasible to drill. We could be opening up as we speak, right? More supply at any moment in time, but we're not. And he says, and neither is anybody else. And he said that the answer is government policies, efforts to constrain capital in the industry is the main reason why it's not happening, Jason.
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
Well, listen, he flat out says this is all the government. This is the Biden administration.
I do agree with that. I agree
deliberately raising prices.
We said
to bring forth this new green energy.
A couple of days ago, we talked about how Saudi Arabia gave 10% discounts on oil, but they didn't give it to America. They gave it to China and India. And it makes me wonder, Joe, with this inflation that we're hitting, the Saudi Arabia is like, look, we want to sell our U.S. treasuries too. We want to get rid of this worthless stuff. And why do I feel like a deal was struck? Hey, we'll pay more for your oil, and you just keep those dollars there. Why do I feel like that's a big part of it, Joe?
And it's so incredible when you finally get the CEO of, let's face it. I mean, this is Chevron saying, "Hey, the government and their, again, this left wing extremism with a weak leader," and he says that nobody, the big money, isn't pouring in to allow us to go invest in new supply. And
right.
We see it all the time. Harvard, we're pulling all of our money out of big oil. We got all these hedge funds. We won't invest in oil companies anymore. And he says this is a deliberate attempt, and it's going to work, and we are going to see even higher energy prices.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, let's face it, Joe, if you're going to pay Saudi Arabia more money for oil, you can't have a bunch of people pulling it out of the ground here. So, yeah, it's deliberate.
Right.
That's right.
It's very simple. Hey, we can think about what Donald Trump did. Right? All of a sudden, we had never pumped so much oil. I mean, we could have if we wanted, and we didn't want to, by the way. But we could have been energy independent. But that would mean we wouldn't be buying oil from Canada. We wouldn't be buying oil from Mexico and the oil we buy from the Saudis, right? We don't want to make anybody upset. But now they're coming out and saying, hey, wait a minute. Nobody wants to lend us money. The banks. Even the banks. And, let's face it, they only can get the money from a handful of these large, but they don't want to loan it to them. What do you mean? Look, and these oil companies, let's face it, they've got great credit scores. Right?
Right.
They're like,
right.
What?
But, Joe, it's about who's holding the most dollars. It's a Ponzi scheme. And I bet Saudi Arabia is holding a lot more of it than the oil companies are.
Well, that's, there you go. There's a good point there as well. Our good friends, the Saudis, because they had nothing to do with 9/11 either. But it is truly, truly, I just think amazing now when you actually, and again, he was much more politically correct in how he said it. But make no mistake about it, he was making a point. Don't blame Chevron. Don't blame Exxon. When you are going to see oil prices continue to rise, prices at the pump are going to continue to rise because they're essentially, it's just like guns, right? Remember, they're trying to shut out the gun manufacturers. The banks are trying to throw them out and trying to block. Same thing's happening in the oil industry as well. And then, of course, all of a sudden, right, because, we know solar's not nearly as affordable. It's not even close. Well, but hey, you know what? If oil goes to $100, $150 a barrel, all of a sudden, maybe all of a sudden that alternative starts to look good. How about this one? This one, which really kind of blew my mind. This comes out of the shipping industry. We already know shipping rates on shipping containers is off the charts. They said that this is going to get much, much worse. The rates, not only can they go higher from here, they're going to go much higher from here. You get to a point where you've seen this in containers, where you hit a certain utilization rates, and then prices start to go parabolic. We're getting very close to that period. Let me update you why this is happening. Yesterday, we had about 54 ships out of the port of Los Angeles. That number is now 68 ships this morning. Now think about these ships. They're like the size of football fields, stacked as high as humanly possible with containers on them. And I'm just saying the port of L.A. I didn't even talk about Long Beach. I didn't talk about Oakland, right? You talk about, right, all the other ports in the Carolinas and New Orleans and everywhere. Listen, there's no containers to be had. Fundamentally, we've got demand outstripping supply. That freight agreements now are going to be above 20,000. I think we did a story. It was either early this week, Jason, or late last week. It was only at 10,000.
Right. Yep. Right. It's getting way more expensive, Joe. To step back for a moment, I think gas could be at $5 a gallon by Thanksgiving, Joe. I really do.
Well, listen.
And the shipping is the same.
It's going to be in California. It's going to be in Nevada. I was in Nevada. Nevada's over $4. Right. I mean, here in Arizona, we're $3.15 to $3.50, depending on where. So I would imagine Colorado's probably just below $3.
No, we're at or just below 4.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty sure. I did mid-grade the other day for $3.99.
Holy smoke. What's happened? Oh, by the way, when we get back, I'm going to talk about the big shortage. We're not just talking about the regular containers. How about the containers that carry the food? That's coming up next. 800-951-0592. Joe Jake with Jason Walker. We're talking, there's two different types of containers. Well, there's probably more than two, but you've got the ones where, you got your stuff in it. Right? You got your shirts and your hats and your generators and your, just the what things that we consume, at Dick's Sporting Goods and things like that. Those containers, 20,000. They were just 10,000 last week. Then you have what we call the commodity containers. Those are different. They're a different type. They're shipped on special ships. To give you an idea, 5 billion tons of commodities are shipped this way. We're talking things like steel, coal, grain, right? This is your soybeans and your corn and your iron ore, those types of commodities. And now they're saying that we're going to see major price increases in those. And the comments out of the shipping industry talking about bulk carrier rates does not see any significant reversal whatsoever. It actually said it may get even worse with just a very little demand growth. To just continue to build off of what we have seen, it's going to move higher and higher and higher. Saying higher highs, higher lows, and warned about the Biden infrastructure package. Saying that is only going to make things worse, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you either print money or raise taxes or do anything of that nature, it's just going to make it harder. You let the market do what the market wants, and when the government gets involved, it makes it worse.
I want to bring this next article up because this article here is exactly what we're telling you about. Jason said it very quietly earlier in the program. We're talking about shortages, and we kind of laugh about spot price and all that stuff. And Jason said, hey, don't be fooled here. The big guys are all buying it now. They know. They already know.
Joe,
they're not prepared.
Joe, there's corporations that are trying to find places to, if it's a corporation that has money, they're buying Bitcoin and gold now. Some of these corporations that would never do this before. Yeah. It's always stock buybacks, right? Stock buybacks.
Never. Stock buybacks and treasuries. That's all they would buy. And now they're buying, like you said, hey, we're buying Bitcoin, we're buying gold. This comes out of the Perth Mint. So the Perth Mint, that's the Australian mint. And when you think about mints around the world, the Perth Mint has really gained in not just acceptability, but they've become very good at it. A lot of the platinum and palladium, if you could find it, comes out of the Perth Mint, and they do a huge amount of gold and silver out of there. But the Perth Mint broke a record, and I was like, oh, I wonder, okay, gold sales, silver sales. Oh, no. Pre-tax profit record. They made over $56 million on over $26 billion in sales. That is, both of those are records for the 122-year history of the Perth Mint. And then they said that the Perth Mint has exported all of Australians' gold safely for more than a century, blah, blah, blah. But here's what was crazy. They became the third largest exporter out of Australia in 2021, Jason. The third largest exporter out of that country. Australia provides all kinds of raw materials to China, so it's incredible when you think about how much this is happening, and they're saying that unprecedented demand continues. The Perth Mint has now become one of, in the state of, I guess, Perth, if you will, they're one of the largest employers now, Jason.
Yeah, the Australian government and Australian companies have been investing heavily in China. And with the economic stress that's starting to be happening in China, Australia is looking really really bad right now. If China goes, Australia's going with it really fast. And Joe, it makes a lot of sense that if they're doing a lot of business with China, that maybe their gold and silver is floating that direction.
Yeah, I think there's really big demand. You bring up a great point, as we can, and you brought this up earlier in the week, and it's playing out as we speak this week. China's second largest property owner, Evergrande, continues to. Well, it's already defaulted. It's missed the interest payments on the bonds. I kind of like China's reaction to it. The public has surrounded the corporate offices and the CEOs, I guess the higher up, they can't even leave, Jason.
Well,
they're basically being held hostage in their office building as people are wanting their money,
And there's a difference between how America handles a corporation like this failing and what China's doing. They're happy to let these corporations fail. And
very happy.
And when they let this one fail, it could be a contagion all across the world. I mean, it could be really big.
One, because so many of their bonds were dollar denominated.
Right.
So you're going to see some of the shock waves play out, but this is going to, again, continue to drive this gold and silver demand. We already know, listen, China's already the largest. They consume so much more gold than anybody in the world, and this is going to make the problem even bigger. And then when you hear that the Perth Mint's the third largest exporter in the country, that just blows my mind.
Right, yeah.
It just blows my mind.
It doesn't surprise me, Joe, because, every country in the world seems to be secretly trying to grab as much as they can.
When we get back, we're coming up on the break here. When we get back, we got another silver item. Everybody is going out of stock, but here's the advantage. You know what? We've been around a long time. Remember last week I was getting ready to pull utility silver off the website. Then we had a huge amount walk through the door in Phoenix. We had not nearly the quantity, but we had someone walk through the door in Colorado. We're going to pass the savings on to you guys. That's coming up next. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. And in the last 2 minutes, I've got two great deals now. So yesterday afternoon, Jason had some quarters walk in the door. I was looking online today, JM Bullion, a lot of you guys know those as they have done. I was looking at APMEX. They've got some. They're way overpriced. Silver is disappearing again. Nobody except people that have to are selling silver at $22.50. They're not doing it. There's no all they're doing is buying all that they can. Remember, we told you I think it was last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that the companies that supply the delivery bars to the London Exchange, to the COMEX, have been buying them back. Because we've got other deliveries that we can't meet. Hey, we'll buy back that. So we sold it to you at 26 or 27. We're going to buy it back at $22.50, and then we're going to remake it into what the people want. We are talking about junk silver. Jason had some silver, walked through the door. Everybody's out of stock. I told you the Bullion Bank yesterday. The Bullion Bank has no silver whatsoever. It doesn't matter what it is. Rounds. We sold rounds yesterday. We sold out of what we had. I don't even have them on the shopping cart anymore. I can't get them. I've got 100 rolls of quarters. They're $200 a roll. That already makes me the cheapest, but I don't care. Buy 10 rolls or more, $195 a roll, which puts you below cost at 800-951-0592 on the gold side. During the break, I got an email, and I got a great opportunity here as well. These are on the $5 Liberties. So these are the quarter ounce, that fractional gold. I've got 200. These are going to be XF, so these are really nice. This is the one grade below AU. Usually what separates an XF from an AU, and Jason will tell you this as well, these coins are really nice.
Yep. But
they tend to have what I call bag dust on it, right? So they don't have the AUs kind of got that real shine to them. The XFs, they're really super nice, but they were in the middle of the bag, and they were sitting in bags for a long time. So they've got, like, I call it like a film, like I call it bag dust, Jason. But these things are drop dead gorgeous. Here's what's incredible. This is a higher quality than we normally sell it for. Right now, our circulated $5 Liberty is $5.90, and you guys know we carry nice stuff. $5.75, Jason, for XF5s, and here's what he's telling me. He goes, these coins are really, really great. Says he's got a good mix of dates as well, so you'll get a bunch. If you order a bunch of them, we'll spread it out. We'll get you a bunch of dates. His exact words to me were, these are solid XF coins, so you're going to be really happy with them. So we got two great items for you. Fractional $5 Liberty gold pieces, $5.75, and then of course the quarters, the utility quarters, $200 a roll. Buy 10 or more, $195. If something doesn't change in the next week or two, we may be looking at the same situation when the pandemic first started and there was no silver at all available. Right now, the main suppliers in the silver market are out. A lot of dealers are out. You got to deal in the secondary markets to find anything, and that just means premium go higher. But I was even hearing today, even the secondary market is starting to have supply issues. And it all has to do with the idiotic spot price, Jason, all of it.
Well, and you just mentioned earlier about the freight for consumable items, and then commodities are slowing down. So that's what we sell. We sell commodities. So silver's not moving around like it should. It's not being, not only is a supply being bought up and hard to find, but it's also just just like everything else right now, it's being harder and harder to just get it moved around and where it needs to go.
Yeah.
That's
a great point.
If you slow it down, the price goes up. That's just how it works.
Price goes up. You see the out of stocks and delivery times. Even for us, as you know, we try to get it out as fast as possible. It's just a little slower. And now on silver, a lot slower. 800-951-0592. We still got 2 lines open. Let's go. Get it put away. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Got Connie. Connie, she's just fitting in really well. Connie replaced Brooke. She's learning, so just tell her what to do. You guys know what to do. We have so many repeat customers. It's just amazing. I know, Jason, you see them all the time up there.
Yep.
So if you're with Connie, you just walk her through it. But she's doing it great. She is super smart. So she probably doesn't even need your help anymore. Arlene is here. Brittany's off. Brittany won't be back till Wednesday. But we are ready to rock and roll here. We still got a couple of phone lines open. And again, I mean it. I've been doing this for, almost 20 years? We've been in business 25 years. The pandemic, you could kind of understand the shortage. But now, this is way more than that. Just remember, and I'll use the Perth Mint as a great example. They've never made more money. They've never sold so much stuff. So this is really, simply put, demand is kicking supply's ass. There's an article, and I wanted to get to it this week. I'll try to get to it next week because we only got an hour a day where people are starting to once again, and we heard this early on last year with Wall Street bets and all of that, but talking about the supply of silver getting to that level again where the physical demand is going to completely overwhelm the supply. And there's been talk of that for a while, Jason. I don't know. I know what I'm seeing coming out of the mine supply. It certainly seems like this market, even though the spot market isn't acting that way, very close to breaking.
Silver is a lot like copper in the fact that being an industrial metal, nobody that works with it wants the price to go up. And I think we've been in short silver supply for a couple of years, definitely COVID, but even before COVID, I think it was getting more scarce. And Joe, they don't want this price to go up because a lot of companies, we already got inflation, and now the commodities are disappearing. So it's at some point you can't keep it down. At some point, there's inherent laws of supply and demand, and it'll go where it's supposed to go, Joe.
Yeah, it always does, and it always will. And right now, it is what it is. There's people out here now saying that the silver consumption, 7 ounces of silver coming out of the ground right now for every ounce of gold. So that just tells you that the silver market has definitely been hit as far as supply goes. I don't know. And again, this is one guy saying that this is what the mine supply in silver's been doing. We'll have to wait and see. I know this. I don't think that many silver miners are too anxious to get silver out of the ground at $22.50, Jason. I really don't.
No. And if you look at gold, silver, and copper, they've trended very close to each other in the last 2 years, spiking up in 2000 and then sort of kind of coming back in 2021. And it makes me just wonder, Joe, as we're leaving the show here. You see China imploding 15 buildings at once on this picture I saw. There's a lot of metals you can get out of it. If no one's living in the buildings and there's no use, there's a lot of commodities in there, Joe.
Recycle. Hey, it may be worth more that way. Who knows? Patriot Radio News Hour. What a great week.